Okay, okay.
Hey, so I'm excited today. I guess this is more like pleasure. It should be more like honor too, but since I've known you for like 7 or 8 years now, we've got the pleasure of spending some time with Joe. I call her Jolena. Like that's how I met her. I've been knowing her now for about 7 or 8 years, I've known her since she was a chaplain at our hospital. And what is so incredible about her is that, when you meet somebody and you don't feel like you can tell them all your business, but they're a chaplain and you're like, "Ooh, I know she's gonna be praying for me after this." So I'm just excited because we've got Jolena here today and she's gonna tell us her story. And how about you just go for it? Because I like no you, so just go
Okay,
for it.
okay. Well, um, I know you know me probably as Joe. I mean, as Jolena, I go by Joe, but that's, friends call me Joe, or I don't know, whatever. Just don't call me late for dinner. Um, that's so I guess when I look at what you sent me, the picture, and thinking about just, health and faith and spirituality and food, and how does that all come together. So I guess, I will start from like meeting you at Parkland, working as a chaplain resident at the time, and then a chaplain, and now I'm in a program to become a chaplain educator. And so, um, in all of that, food, working as a chaplain, seeing things that happen to people every day, and being with people in their hardest time, food became comfort for me. If I'm having a hard day, I just need to have a cupcake at the end of the day. And so I probably should have bought stock in sprinkles, because I had a lot of cupcakes after work. And it wasn't, if it wasn't a cupcake, I had this little Debbie um kick that I was on, the Star Crunch, if you know what that is. And so, it, it was pretty bad, to where I was hiding Star Crunch, little Debbie cakes in my bag. I just had to make sure I had one. And so food became, it was just an unhealthy behavior of me in a relationship with food. And so I guess I was thinking, well, as a good old pastor, how would I put this in 3 points? I would say faith, family, and food. Those are the three things. That's the, if you know anything about this thought theory, if you know and understand the holistic approach, everything was affected. Food was in everything. Food is so much a part of my culture. If you're sad, you eat. If you're happy, you eat. If you just want to put something together, if family stops by, in my family of origin, food was always ready, because we never, my parents, my mom, her sisters, you never know if someone stops by. That's what my Aunt Belle would say all the time. And so, food is just, that's the relationship I had. Now, food, as in, yes, is good for you. It was what I would say, it was my enemy as well as my savior. Yes, a very complex relationship. And where faith comes in for me, I had to start taking captive of my thoughts. My work could not determine, it couldn't be the what would drive me to eat. Um, and so, I had to really start thinking about, okay, you know, what am I doing? How is this unhealthy? How is this healthy? What can I change? And so, fast forward 7 to 8 years, Sean, I reached out to you and said, hey, I wanted to make some changes, because the food just caused me to spiral down. And so all of my numbers were off the chart. I couldn't uh, hardly keep anything, down or in, or just where I would feel okay. So essentially, I would eat and then I'd bottom out and just pass out from sleep. So I consulted my doctors and I went to a lot of doctors, had a lot of procedures. And I even tried okay, let me try not to eat no sugar at all. Well, that's great if you know what to do. I didn't know what to do. So there in line goes educate yourself or find somebody who's educated in it. And so I told my doctor, I said, look, we've tried everything. I think I need to see a dietitian, someone who specializes in food. So I advocated for my own health. They gave me a referral. And then I went to the dietitian, and that is where everything just opened up. Where everything became, she asked me about my family. She asked me, faith wise. I work at a Catholic hospital. Asked about food, like what's the relationship, what's going on, and she said, okay, let's make a plan. She also read all of my doctor's reports because I have ENT, a GI doctor, a regular primary doctor, and I had another specialist. I had all 4 doctors looking at me, wondering, I was a medical mystery. Why is she responding in this way? And so my dietitian said, I read all your charts, and I think, she said, I'm not a doctor, but I think you have a childhood, undiagnosed childhood disease. And I said, really? She said, yes. She said, I'm not a doctor. You need to go to your doctor, your primary, and talk to her about it. So I set an appointment with my primary, and I said, this is what the dietitian said. The primary looked at all my numbers. All my numbers are on point now. Everything is on point. I have a very strict diet. Going back to family, what I eat, everybody eats. I even look at how much sugar my dog and cat are eating, measuring what it is. Everybody's involved. And then faith, and that increased because my just praying and like, what is going on? What's happening? All of that was driven by food, and so. But back to my primary doctor, she said, I don't know what you're doing, but it's working. And I told her what the dietitian said, and she looked at all my files and she said, I think she's right. So that being said, I had a sad revelation or illumination from my doctor, and she shared with me that she said, this is how I think of food. We all have a measure of things that we can eat. And some of us overdo it before a certain age, and then you just tap out. So you were indulging in all those sugars and all that different types of food, and you're in your 30s, but you can't have it anymore. And so, I thought, well, I know what I used to feel like when I was eating it is not worth it. And so I'm going to stick with my diet and my dietitian. And I think you asked me, Sean, my numbers. All my numbers are within range. Here is the big piece of my whole food journey. This is with my ENT and my GI doctor. They were trying to figure out, okay, is it thyroid? I have a goiter, and they found nodules on it, and then they found out that there's a cyst, and they wanted to know if it was cancerous. And so this was prior to me meeting my dietitian. And so I did the biopsy. They even did a molecular testing, and through that found no cancer. And told me to stick to my thyroid friendly diet, which I was doing. Even more so, this is fast forward to the dietitian. And I went back for my 6-month scan, And my ENT said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm eating a thyroid friendly diet, and it's very strict." Um, and he said, "Well, what we have found is that usually these nodules or whatever cysts, they usually either stay the same or they grow." He said, "Yours has shrunk. It's smaller." I said, "Really?" I'm like, "I think that's good news." He said, "Yes, it is. It's an anomaly. You're an anomaly. And this is something we could actually write a paper about." And I said, "Well, currently I'm writing enough papers, so I don't want to contribute to that. But they do want to talk further about what my diet was, because it's not something prescribed. It was just something that intuitively, I thought, okay, if these are the things that cause the problem, what are the things that help with what I'm dealing with? And let me take everything out and just focus on eating that food." And that's pretty much it. So my perspective spiritually changed when I started feeling better. My perspective in my family changed when I started feeling better. What my perspective of food and relationship changed. Everything suddenly came together. And now I have more of I guess I found a sense of wholeness in all of it in this journey. And I say part of that started, which is the conversation with you, Sean, but also really doing the homework and research on what food does to your body and how it affects you. And so that's my short story. I think I did less than 30 minutes, but that is
Yeah,
that is it.
I think, because I know that you have always been very spiritual. So I think the biggest thing is, for me, I think I used to try to use faith as the action thing,
Mm,
and then I realized that faith was like really like secondary to me acting. You know what I'm
mhm.
saying? Like I
Mhm.
can't pray my way out of not gaining
Yeah,
weight. I can't
yeah.
pray my way out. And so I think, with you being a spiritual being and,
Mhm.
can you emphasize a little bit more how important it is that we put faith in its proper place? And then food
Mm.
goes in another place too,
Mhm.
and we've got to
Mhm.
act a certain way. So I don't know how to ask that question, but I feel like faith is maybe not overused
Mhm.
because we got to
Mhm.
have it. I get that, but it may
Mhm.
be used in the wrong way. I don't know how to put that. And I know you could probably put it in better words than I can.
Yeah, I mean, I can share what I think you're saying, Sean. I guess I would start with, I am not the end all to the answer to this question, but I can share how I understand it in practicing. So for me, I consider faith a lot like trusting that if I turn on this light switch behind me, it's gonna come on, right? Well, it's a lot that comes with knowing that that's gonna work. I have to pay the bill. Someone has to, create this energy, this source, right? And so there is a part that I have to do, not just with turning on the light switch, but also paying the bill. Because I can flip it all day long, but if I don't pay the bill, it's not going to come on, right? And so I think with faith, that's the faith with works. I mean, there is both and, it's not either or. Now, I will say that in some cases, um, there is not much work on your part where you truly believe that something's going to happen and you trust that it's going to happen, and it does. And so I think there is that, but I think people tend to lean. I try not to lean too heavily on that more so than that it's more of a relationship between me and the creator versus solely me rubbing a bottle and the creator comes out and says, what can I do for you? Or what can I do for you? I don't know what the voice of the creator is, but that bottle, the
Yeah.
genie, I'm not looking, there's no one in a big cloud or something, but there's a, relationship between myself and the creator where I think, okay, so I have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. I mean, I guess I where I was able to separate it out, I could pray to feel better, but I knew there was something I needed to do. And there was something there was something I was doing that I needed to stop doing. Like I needed to stop. I needed to change my my trajectory because it was just I was just going downhill. Like feeling wise, I was scared to eat because I didn't know how I would react to the food.
Mm.
And so I think, go ahead.
No, you go. Yeah.
No, I just gonna say I think that in itself made a big difference in whatever the doctor was gonna tell me to try. And I told my dietitian, not the doctor. I said, if you tell me to turn around 3 times and stomp my feet, that's what I'm gonna do because I'm at a point where I need to do something that's gonna work for my body.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that's interesting is, I've had the question like, do you talk about sugar every day? And my response is always like, yeah. And then the next question is, how could you or why would you? And I'm like, because I face this every day. It's not like I have the option of not facing it. Wherever I go, if I wake up in the morning and I go down the street, I'm going to pass donuts or, get to work and I'm going to see donuts or whatever it is. So it's something that I think, I interact with every day. But one of the things I wanted to ask you about was, what is your thought about community accountability? Because I find like it's so important to get into a space or a room of people that look like me, that understand like when I go to Thanksgiving dinner, what it's gonna look like, that my mama's gonna have some candy yams on that table, and so how important do you think community accountability is?
Oh, I mean, as I said, the family in my part where we're all eating healthier, we're all doing better, even the cat and dog. And so, so I'm reading on the back of their food package.
Yeah, I saw that post. Like, oh man, I got my dog food.
So I'm like, okay. But the accountability with family, I can share what I did with my family as I started to move towards eating healthier. And this is prior to my what happened with my food journey. I would say it's been a part of my food journey. So when I was in my early teen, I started. So my mother is one of 18 children. She's number 16 in line, and so I have a. I know, God bless my grandmother. But I started looking at noticing my relatives and how they were affected. And I knew that the one thing in common was food and some of the things that they were dealing with, diabetes, high blood pressure, even some of the autoimmune things, which I just discovered that food can contribute, even sugar can contribute, but most importantly, food to triggering, autoimmune. And I didn't know that. This is what my doctor told me. And so earlier on, I started changing my diet towards, eating. How can I find ways to cook collard greens where it's not going to kill me in 20 years? Or it's not going to contribute to me losing a limb if I'm unable to control my diabetes. I don't have diabetes, but with my relatives, during Thanksgiving, they would trust me to prepare a meal that wasn't like the regular thing. So I would cook my collard greens with no meat product, and then they would cook theirs. And I have the green eggs and ham kind of motto. Try it. That's what he that's what he told Sam. I am. Try it. You know, and so my food was eaten. Their food, the other food was left over. And so my family started to think, oh, she's getting healthier. Oh, she's changing. It still tastes good. I can do that. So I do have some support from family in that, no, you don't have to eat this. And we're not going to judge you. But you really are missing out. So there's a little that, it's a little bit of both. But for the most part, some of my family members will tell me not to eat something because they know it's not good for me. But the community is essential. If you've seen the movie High on the Hog on Netflix, if you haven't, I guess I'm not getting paid to say this, by the way, but it is a great movie on Netflix.
Wish, right?
I know, right? And it's a book. It's based off partially of a book, at least the title. But that's how we, I can say, because we're not a monolith, but I know culturally, Black African Americans in my culture, community is everything, and it revolves around food. And so my family's on board, thankfully, but I do get some pushback, and so I just go back to green eggs and ham. Could you in a boat? Try it, and you may. But I'm like, just try it. You might actually like it.
Yes. Yeah, so that's the non-preachy thing that I've had to develop over time. When I talk about sugar, I can't really just go hard and say, hey, don't do it. It really is like a try it, and see how it works out. So, it's so strange, but I had the opportunity to be with my aunts last weekend, and we had such a good time. We had tea. And it was a sugar-free tea. Like we had, there was honey, on the table, but my aunt prepared food that was sugar-free. And we talked about our health, and we talked about sugar, how it impacts our health. And we also talked about history, pretty much just sisters breaking the bonds of sugar at my aunt's house.
Right. All right.
But,
all right.
I just love the fact that now, we are getting to the point to where we can talk about it because, I think because so many people, we're losing so many people so fast right now, and they're so young, cousins, brothers, So it really is like, to me, that's the reason why I can talk about sugar every day. And same thing for you. You can talk about faith and spirituality every day because it's something that we're going to intersect with at some point of the day. So, I didn't start off by saying this, but I just appreciate you. Since I've been knowing you, you've always been so easy to talk to. And it just seems like whatever kind of problem, that I would bring to you, you're like, oh, well, let's talk about it, and you come up with this real simple, idea of how, really that it may be working out to benefit me, that it is working out that way. So, you know how much I love you. I miss you here in Dallas, because you were a part of nursing staying solid, and patients staying solid in a big hospital. So I just want to tell you that I miss you and I love you, but I know you moved on to bigger and better things and you got your life going. So is there anything else that you want to share, anything that you didn't talk about or that you'd like to share? Because you're such a good, y'all may not know it, but like, she's a great storyteller. So I just love listening to her like a little kid. I'm like, So yeah, is there anything else that you want to share with us?
I guess I was just thinking about going back to faith, and my dog Honey is having a fit because he wants to. He likes attention, so he wants to get in on the Zoom call. Um, I think it just goes back to, it is a legacy. The way we in our family, you know, treat food. In my family, just remember I said my mom is one of 18. Um, my grandmother wanted everybody to know how to cook. So everyone learned how to cook at least, I'm talking about full meal, full spread by 11 years old. 11, yeah. And her thing is not just the girls, but the boys. She would say, because you might marry a wife and she don't know how to cook. And I want to make sure you know how to eat. You gonna eat good. So everybody learned. My uncle taught me how to cook some things when my mom wasn't there. She was working, or I could call her sisters and somebody could tell me how to prepare whatever it was. And so I think it's the legacy of my grandmother in cooking, as well as just learning how to prepare, how to provide for yourself. And I'm just really thankful for that, because that creativity of, trying and exploring new things, that really helps. I would say trust your body, that the doctors don't always know, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but they practice medicine. Note the word practice. That's the key word. And so they're practicing medicine. And so you know, trust yourself. If some say spirit of the ancestors are speaking to you, some say spirit of God is speaking to you. I say the creator. Listening to that, that's what I did. Listen to your body. It will tell you, what it is, when it's wrong, when you need to do something. And then advocating for yourself. That's my chaplain side coming out. Advocate for yourself with the people who you're trusting your health, with. And so, that's probably what I'm glad that I did that. I'm glad I said, I think I need to talk to somebody who knows more about food, you know, than I do. This is someone who specializes in food. And once you find that person, for me, I wanted to make sure that she knew about Black people and how food affects Black people. So when we're looking at the BMI, she tells me, this is verbatim, your BMI is okay because of your race, your culture. I understand it's not the same as what I have. So we're going to, focus on what's good for you. So making sure that you find somebody who's going to create whatever it is that you need, for you, and not just on a template, on generic, 20 people they found who would be willing to be guinea pigs. And so that was very key to me. The second thing I did on my journey was making sure that all my doctors were people of color. I wanted to make sure that I was believed. And this is nothing against any other race whatsoever. I needed someone to know that as a Black woman, what I was saying was truth. And because I had not experienced that, and I'm not saying all, I don't want to be mistaken, I just had to make sure, let me find somebody who understands what it's like to be an other. And they could go down this journey with me. And so that really helped. And that, now my dietitian, she's white. Well, my doctors are doctors of color. And so she read everything they had, and she was able to pinpoint, oh, this is the issue. So I don't want it to be mistaken that I don't trust anyone else. I just, as far as my numbers go, I wanted to make sure it was somebody who understands. So let me share this real quick because I think it's hilarious. This is my primary doctor. I won't call her name. I won't blast her. But she asked me, oh, because I told her about my diet. She said, okay, tell me what you were eating before the diet. And then I told her collard greens. So no, I can't have collard greens anymore. I'm okay. I had 30 plus years of eating collard greens. I don't have to have. So I'm okay with that. But so she said, oh, you're not gonna believe what happened to me. And I said, well, what happened? And she said, well, I saw that the grocery store had collard greens on sale. And she said, I bought some for my family. I cut it up, I mixed it, with a salad. And then, made it into a salad for my family. And then my children said, Mom, Mommy, the salad is kind of tough. And I said, wait a minute, you did what? She said, yeah, I thought you could just eat it raw. I was like, not collard greens. Maybe kale.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was just grossed out for her. I laughed so hard in that doctor's face. She said, I didn't know. So she asked her neighbor, my primary doctor is Taiwanese. She asked her neighbor, and the neighbor was laughing at her. She said, I know you're going to find it funny. I was laughing at her, but just, again, going back to knowing about food and how important it is and what you can do with it. So we know now for sure. I know not to put collard greens in a salad, but
hey, she tried that. She tried that though.
She tried it. She was trying to get a good sale. I can't blame her for that. It was gross and nasty, but she tried.
Oh my God.
And there's so many little things that I did. I shop at Whole Wallet, or some. Now some people say whole paycheck. I say Whole Wallet.
Yep.
Which also known as Whole Foods.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have a Whole Foods, then look at the organic sections in your grocery store, because sometimes I do that. When I'm not near a Whole Foods. So changing to organic, that also changed my numbers. I don't think I told you that, but you might already know it. That the organic foods, this is any meat, vegetables, anything, also affected my numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know that. I had no clue that eating that really big chicken wing full of juice is what I'm gonna say. It was delicious, but it made me really sick. And so that was asked by my doctor. So I do have to eat organic food. That's another thing. So
yeah.
Or grow your own food, which is what I do.
Yes, that's awesome.
I do. I have my own. I can't remember her name. I think her name is Rhonda. Foodie from the ground up, I think is what she says. So I do. I have a container garden. I grow just about anything.
Girl, I am working on that one tomato plant, and if somebody don't come and help it,
I can help you help the tomato plant.
Okay, I'm gonna have to
talk about that.
So you can see this one tomato plant that I just keep looking at and praying over.
See, that's what you got the light switch, but you haven't paid the bill. You gotta pay you gotta do. I'm gonna have to help you out. I don't mind. But I think that's it. Just it's the little things. It's the journey, and don't give up. I mean, Sean, this is, I think, ordained. The sugar journey that you're championing, I think is not only providence but also ordained. I think you are doing something and standing up for something, even if you are a lone prophet, saying, hey, this is not good. Continue to stay encouraged doing it, because your message may not be for this generation. It might be for the generation after. But you have to leave it behind so that they can look at it. So keep going.
Whoa, see how you do that preaching, and you didn't even yell at me. You and that's what Joe does, y'all. Like, you just preaching. That's all you should be doing, soft preaching. Well, listen, I just appreciate you spending the time with us, and telling your story. I'm sure somebody's going to get something out of it. And I think the biggest thing is just, that we continue to encourage each other, and continue to find these groups and communities that look like us, and that motivate us and inspire us and encourage us, because that's all this is, right? Not saying that anybody's right or wrong, but yes, that we are trying to be on a better track, because we know how our health looks in the community. When we look at the numbers, we look at COVID, we look at heart attacks, we look at stroke, we look at cancer, we're at the top of the list on all of that. And we are faithful people, right? We are faithful people. So I just appreciate you spending time with Sisters Breaking the Bonds of Sugar. And again, I will say it to you that I love you and I thank you, okay?
Oh, I love you too. I do. And I love what you're doing. I really do. And if anyone wants to, shoot me an email and they want to talk more about what it is that I did, feel free to give out my email. And I'm better at texting than email, so I'm even okay with you giving out my numbers. And send me a text message, so we can. I don't mind sharing, because I don't want someone to suffer. If I can help prevent that, I'll share my story.
Okay. All right. Well, bye. Oh, Sugar Moto. Okay. So crazy. Bye.